In this video, I'd like to take a look at a show that after today, I will never cover again. You can believe me when I say that because why would I lie about that? With that being said, we're going to be looking at Deadliest Warrior once again. Of course, if you don't know, it's the Spike TV original show where they take two warriors from history, modern or ancient, and pin them up against each other to see who is the Deadliest Warrior. In reality, though, we all know the Deadliest Warrior is that Navy SEAL guy that just decimated that jail dummy. You pin that psychopath up against anyone, and he is the Deadliest Warrior. Our main hosts of the show are Jeff Damelin, a biomedical engineer who is really the Aldi version of Dane Cook, and that's not saying it's a bad thing. Most of the time, Aldi products are either on par with or better than the products they're mimicking. In Jeff's case, he didn't date and get engaged to a teenager, so I'd say Jeff's doing pretty good. Then of course we have Max Geiger, the computer whiz, whose job it is to just take all of the bickering and the jail dummies being destroyed and then put that into a software that either is Microsoft Excel or a video game. It goes back and forth. Last but certainly not least, the Spike TV doctor, which this show only has one doctor. All the other Spike TV shows, they cycle them in and out. They've just got this guy. And the same goes for any doctor on this network. You could just sub in Johnny Sins with a doctor's coat, and the show would be identical. We don't need someone with 8+ years of medical school to tell us that someone's head being removed from their body is bad news. But as I've said many times on this channel, my favorite part about the episodes are the experts they bring on from show to show to represent said warrior, which today is going to be the Aztec Jaguar versus the Zonde Warrior. I got this episode idea from a commenter who mentioned that this is another good example of the experts bickering back and forth. At best, the arguments between the experts are like recess in elementary school, like those kind of arguments. Or you get shit like the last video where it got like a little too personal.
Good luck, laddie. You're gonna need it.
This is another example of that. That's why I picked it. Let's watch.
An Aztec Jaguar warrior, swift-moving slayer of the ancient Mexican Empire.
I gotta start doing these episodes in order because going from like season 1 to 3 to 2 to 1 all over the place, I'm not used to the narrator like going up and down in energy. He's got his pep and his step back.
Welcome to the Fight Club. A bloody battle zone where a dream team of scientists...
The dream team. Honestly, season 2 probably is because they got rid of that guy that stumbled into their studio that one time. But also before season 3 where they just cut out Max and replaced him with that old guy that I fucking hate.
ER physician Armand Dorian will weigh in on the real blood and guts of battle damage.
I see death on a daily basis, and I'm gonna tell you if this warrior can actually kill the other warrior with the weapon they're wielding.
I think that's the most depressing way he's ever explained his role on the show.
Aztec descendant and weapons master, David Rivera. Demonstrate the lethal...
You know, this guy doing a flip on the show is like negotiated in his contracts. I will do your silly Spike TV show, but I want to do a front flip. Like a really big one.
Zonde authority, Gordon Jock, was born in the southern Sudan, the traditional Zonde homeland.
So far, these guys actually seem like real experts. Not like what we're used to seeing, which is like some veteran that plays with swords on the weekends.
We Zondes just kill. We don't have time to take you back to camp. That's not our purpose going to battle. Our purpose is to take you out.
I guess that would give them more of an edge, being on a show called The Deadliest Warrior.
So I'm guessing the Zonde's gonna have at least one iron weapon that's gonna dominate this game.
I actually think the Aztec's gonna take this.
Of course, the world would stop spinning if Max and Jeff both agreed on something on this show. Then the doctor has to do the tiebreaker and be the kid picking a favorite in a divorce.
Obsidian blades are way sharper than a razor. They're sometimes even sharper than scalpels.
This weapon is designed to serve the god, which is, in this case, for the Jaguar, Tezcatlipoca, the god of the night.
You know Max is just like stressing out right now, like how the fuck am I gonna put any of this into Microsoft Excel?
I gotta see that happen, man.
Let's do it.
To test the legend, a ballistic gel horse's head.
Okay, a first on the show, a ballistic gel horse head. You know that they had to get this special made. Like there's only one guy in the region that makes that kind of thing. And what's the market for this thing? Like who else but Deadliest Warriors? Like we want to see what this weapon would do to like horse's head.
3, 2, 1, go!
Probably not the case, but it's funny just thinking like they borrowed this from a museum or a collector and they're just destroying the fucking thing.
We got bones severed and ripped through.
I think this is more blunt force than cutting.
Well, the beauty of this weapon is it's actually both.
I often forget and don't really think about the fact that Jeff is Canadian, but I was very much just reminded.
It's actually both.
Now, speaking of what I just said, which I hope is something that will make this make sense, I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. Guys, they're back, one of my favorite companies to work with, one who has worked with me more than anyone else, and that's no accident. At least I hope not. If you don't know by now, HelloFresh sends meal kits with fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, all with easy step-by-step instructions right to your doorstep. Now, I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that I've grown to dislike more and more as I've gotten older is going to the grocery store. And not only that, but oftentimes when I am doing a recipe on my own, I'm often left with more ingredients than I need afterwards. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't care how much I tell myself I'm going to use that half-red onion in the fridge. I simply will not. Aside from the convenience, the meals are just really good, and as I've mentioned before, I end up taking techniques and ideas from those recipes and using them to ones that I already use. And if you're not a lonely man at home like me, they have a bunch of recipes that you can do with the whole family, and plenty of kid-friendly options for picky eaters, otherwise known as children. And of course, you know that you're being sustainable with HelloFresh because they are the first carbon-neutral meal kit company with nearly all of their packaging being recyclable. So guys, whether you want to save money, eat towards your goals, or just be more sustainable, HelloFresh has got you covered. So if you're interested, use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGCHRISDEC70 for 70% off, plus free shipping in your first box. And when you do click my link below, the description will live update to count up the purchases. Hope you guys check them out. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring, and now back to Deadliest Warrior.
You lost most of your weapon. You've killed 2 people and that's it.
You got this whole other side for both of you.
So I guess we know that if they were pinning him up against a horse on Deadliest Warrior, then he would do pretty good. But we're not.
And the Bato bow and Pima arrow.
The weapons that we use are all created to kill.
I'd say most weapons are.
You will be the deadliest warrior.
Also notice how the doctor didn't weigh in on this one. They're like, nah, we'd be going too far if we had the doctor just weighing in on horse decapitations.
Once you get in and you get that jagged movement all around, your zone of trauma is huge. The chance of death or insta-kill is really high.
Sure, but it also is possible to get inside the reach of that spear.
Max, I didn't know you went to medical school. Oh, well, I didn't. I was just saying that. That's right, you didn't. So don't weigh on things that you don't fucking understand. Look, man, you don't have to be a dick about it. You're on thin fucking ice, buddy. I'm a Spike TV doctor. I could have you taken off next season like that.
In mid-range weapons, the Aztecs get the edge with the Maquito. The Team Zonde is undeterred.
Yeah, we can see that.
It was for their gods. To keep the universe stable, the Aztec believed their gods demanded a steady supply of human blood.
Yep, okay, I always give them shit for their bad special effects, but this shot right here, this is where the entire budget for the episode went. That's why they're practicing on horses and cows.
Yum, 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 yum.
3, 2, 1, go! Got that bitch.
I don't know if that was Jeff or Max that said that off camera, but either way, it was a funny and weird thing for one of them to say.
You also throw it horizontally to take a man's legs completely from underneath him.
That's something I gotta see.
Max, get over here. Now, when they're about to test the leg sweeping function of this weapon, what would you imagine they would set up to test this out? If you're thinking something like a human dummy or literally anything besides this fucking thing, you'd be wrong. What the fuck is that?
The test target, legs of beef, similar to the bone density and thickness of a human attacker.
Somebody spent an hour at least making that.
Twice your shoulder.
Notice how it wants to keep going. It just wants to keep rolling through.
Angular momentum, my friend.
It's like watching the devil roll dice. You don't know which end is gonna hit you, but it's gonna hurt no matter what.
See, what the hell does that mean, Max? Why are you always saying shit like that?
There's no way this can touch us. Who the hell comes into battle with a piece of like that? They can barely even throw the thing.
Okay, let's not pretend like that piece of shit didn't just, like, do some damage. You heard the doc?
This is an insta-kill.
They can barely even throw the thing. I'll let them taste the end of my atlatl here.
You mean the test demonstration dummies, right? Not the other 2 guys?
There we go.
But the greater the distance, the poorer the accuracy.
See, now this guy's talking all this shit about how that weapon did nothing against that, whatever fucking Jeff got at the butcher that morning, and then he proceeds to miss every single fucking shot. I think he made like 1 or 2 shots.
So David turbocharges his spear. The atlatl artificially lengthens a warrior's arm, increasing the arc over which the spear can be thrown.
And they build up this next part like, okay, yeah, he missed a few, but this is the second piece of this weapon that makes it throw even further. And then proceeds to miss like 2 out of 3 again.
Brother, it's about killing. Doesn't matter what you use.
And how is this?
As long as you kill,
piece
that's
of
what
wood
matters.
and a little piece of obsidian gonna kill us? It's gonna puncture my leg.
Well, screw the arrows. I'll just chase you down and beat you with it.
I think this guy thinks they're going to fight at the end of the episode. I don't think he knows that they have a simulation. I think he thinks these guys are going to fight to the death at the end. Okay, now put that thing literally 5 feet further back and see what happens. God, I'm starting to sound like a fucking expert on the other side.
Bleeding like a stuck pig.
I mean, that's exactly what it is, right?
The Zonde warrior takes the edge with their Kapinga. Coming up, the battle intensifies.
We're gonna slaughter and sacrifice these Azandes heathens.
Okay, yep, there's no way that he doesn't think that they're fighting to the death at the end. They definitely are. Now, for the next demonstration, we're going to be doing close-up weapons, and they have one that, well, it's not something you'd expect. Unless you were expecting a knife. It's just a glass knife. Obsidian knife, sorry.
But this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to demonstrate the bizarre ceremony that was actually used in.
Did they just have that giant fucking thing laying around somewhere? I wouldn't be surprised if they had that in the Spike TV headquarters. If any network to do human sacrifices in their HQ, it'd be Spike, right? I love Max's face here. Max is always the one where, like, he takes this shit home with him.
This is for the gods.
Also, do you think he's done this before? Like, not like making a joke about like, oh, he's killed someone, but like, there's no way he's ever done this with a gel dummy before. He cannot be an expert on this. He's just like really hoping he gets it on the first try. He's like, I don't even fucking know where anything is.
Entertain yourself, doctor.
So after all of that, now we indeed know sharp knife cut.
Yeah, this was pretty. It did its job. It was nice. Nice display, good theatrics, but
Dude,
how effective is it?
You just plucked a heart out of a dude's chest.
I agree with Max here. Like, they're really pushing their limits when it comes to being unimpressed experts. The dude is literally holding a heart in his hand, and the expert's still like, okay, yeah, so what? You've got his fucking heart in your hand? Okay, yeah, big whoop. What else? Doc, back me up. Once again, pales in comparison to the Navy SEAL with a knife. Nothing is deadlier and scarier.
What is that?
You're getting your carotid pumping.
Man.
Here's the sick thing. This body's gonna still be fed blood and still gonna be moving.
No, that is not what that guy just fucking did. That is the sick thing. Even the expert that's there with him that looks like he's way more into this shit than he is was even like, it's a bit fucking much, don't you think? You wore white pants too.
The Aztecs spend so much time dancing and prancing, making their weapons beautiful, while we're doing everything to make them deadly.
They fight for what? They don't have a reason to really, truly fight.
I'm pretty sure they did. Like, they said it earlier, they're just different reasons.
They vanquished rival tribes to ensure scarce resources in a harsh land. The Tematlatl sling, an agave fiber strap that hurls specially crafted killer stones.
Okay, so technically we have, yet again, a deceivingly simple slingshot. This one you just can't buy at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Basically what we do is we take these football-shaped rocks. We can hurl this up to 660 feet.
Maybe the Aztec Jaguar can, but definitely not this guy.
Woo!
That's going
64 miles per hour.
Zonde warriors answer to the Aztec sling, the Boto bow, and Pima arrow.
It's not just a bow and arrow, I would put it. Comes with poison. It's called bengue. It's collected from a creeper called liana.
Got a neurotoxin, and it's time for some chemical warfare.
Let's do it.
Let's go, baby.
Once again with Max's famous quips. You know what? I'm gonna give Max a break. I would hate it so much if like I was saying this shit on TV and then 10, 15 years later some guy is making fun of me on YouTube. Honestly, could go for everyone I ever make fun of ever on this channel. I should just stop making videos.
Ready to rock?
Okay, there's no way this doesn't beat the fucking rock. It's a bow and arrow. This is an actual weapon. I love the Aztec experts' reactions to this off to the side, like, wish we'd a fucking thing to say. Get off of me! God damn!
Okay, Gord. Just to see if you can penetrate that cotton armor. You ready? And loose! In combination, sling, cotton armor, I gotta give it the edge.
In special weapons, the Aztec Jaguar gets the edge.
Well, goddamn.
Coming up, Sunday Warrior, Aztec Jaguar. The battle begins.
So now, guys, after testing all of these, sticks and glass and rocks and string and all of those weapons, it's time to now input all of the data into whatever that software is. And with one press of a button, we will find out who is the Deadliest Warrior, because that button press, it does create an entire simulation that is photorealistic. Or so 12-year-old me thought. Okay, maybe that expert was onto something when it came to having bad aim. So far, this one's pretty boring. They just walk from place to place and then proceed to throw things at each other until they then move and do it again. And because they're just standing still, that this fucking happens. And so far, it's not looking too good for the Aztec guy because he's just getting the shit kicked out of him. His rock didn't work, but thankfully he has prep time and has, I guess, placed weapons around the area. And the winner is the Sunday Warrior. Honestly, could have been anyone's bet. This was a really close one. They are just throwing rocks and sticks and glass at each other the whole time. But anyways, that was once again Deadliest Warrior. If you did enjoy, leave a like rating down below, comment, share with your friends. It all helps me out a ton. Also, if you haven't, don't forget to check out my Patreon. You get ad-free videos, videos that are taken down, all that good stuff. Name in my credits. Anyways, thank you guys again for watching. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring. Go check out my link down below. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.